on 95.3 FM in Windhoek, Desert Radio. The Bold Voice.
Thank you so much, and good morning to everyone out there, especially the listeners. I am happy to be able to speak to you this morning, so thank you for having me on the air. Hardap region, just like all the other regions in the country, are trying to get things done for the betterment of its inhabitants. And I'm sure as Namibians, you know, it's not an easy thing to get development to people, in particular if such development is viewed as something that only the government should shoulder and that the rest of us should be passive onlookers and receivers of such development products that are envisaged for the country, but in particular for this region, Hardap. I'm happy to, right in the beginning, say that when I took office, things already were ongoing. But in order to have a common and collective approach to really impacting the socioeconomic realities of our people, as the regional council, we needed to sit down and have a look at. There are so many things that we need to do out there, but what are most probably the critical areas that would really impact people's life and that people would start to feel and see that there is change happening in the region. And in that context, we have arrived at 5 areas that we believe are important to be looked into in regards to development. Now, I want to also say it in front that, or is it up front rather, that the development that is happening and that would happen is not a one-day thing. It's something that happens on a daily basis. You cannot, in the context of development, look back and say we have arrived. It's an ongoing reality of change. And what I deem important and want to say already in the beginning is that it is imperative that Namibians as a collective, inhabitants of Hardap region, should see themselves as agents of change. They should be the ones that has got the appetite to put themselves, bring their resources such as health, not just all the time material wealth or whatever else, but just the fact that you want to be part of those that are working towards change is the right place to start, I think. Now, with that said, the following are the areas that we have identified as a collective, as political leadership, of course, together with the technical people, and that is agriculture is number one. Now, agriculture, as we know, is something that the Hardap region should strive on, because that is the key economic activity that we have in this region. In particular, the crop production, but also the livestock farming, as they call it, horticulture and animal husbandry. Those two are basically the main drivers of change and of economic development, and also the carriers of the GDP in this region.
Yeah.
And with COVID-19, we have realized that Namibia has to work extra hard in order to guarantee that there is food security in the country. And therefore, I don't think we went wrong in having identified agriculture way before COVID arrived or has dawned upon us that is one thing that we should work upon. Now, in that regard, many things have already started. We are happy to also say thank you to especially the international players that added themselves to our efforts to work on that part as far as agriculture is concerned. And that is, for instance, the World Food Program has started with a very impacting crop production activity, or should I call it a program, together with us in the region, where we have embarked robustly on school feeding programs. But now in this case, we have it a little bit broader, just to concentrate on schools, but since the settings where some of these activities are happening are rather village type or rural. We're also thinking of that particular project, not just to benefit the school-going children, but also to be a benefit to the community around that particular scheme, or should I call it the project. We've also have the UNDP as together with FAO and other embassies that have also added themselves to the discourse of getting Hardap region the food basket for Namibia, and of course we anticipate to be a food basket for the world, because we have got all the resources. We just don't have water that we harbor in the dam, but we've got aquifers that really are out there, resources that we can use to produce food massively for the country. Now, in that regard, UNDP also added themselves to us. Thanks to them, we have also started what we call a rural feeding program, where massively again, with all aspects of value chain, we have started a green project, if I may call it such, that side of Malde here to the west of Hardap region in the Davep constituency. These are at this point in time among other specific projects that we are working on, but there are others such as, what is it called again, urban feeding program that we want to test out also in Marienthal. What we want to see in this region is we've got a potential, again, to the west of this region, which is Davep area constituency, or is it Marienthal constituency? I think it's Marienthal, to be exact, where we have got a dam which is called Karis Dam. That's our language that they use mostly the side. Karis, it's Vruchtgrond. I believe if we can get investors, that we've already started talking to those whom we see as people of potential or companies of potential. So we're hoping to actually go very huge in terms of food security and different food systems with regards to that dam and also what we anticipate to see happening. So in that sector, I should say I'm confident in terms of some progress that I see is happening. We've also seen that development is not possible. You can have everything, but we cannot do development on borrowed skills, borrowed expertise. We need to have our own expertise in order to own our own development and get others to only stand by and assist us. Now, from that vantage point, we have seen education as a very important player. We need to free our people in terms of how they have been seeing things, so that they do not just start to see and continue to see what they used to see, but that they should see opportunities in things that they have otherwise regarded as probably just that is for granted. Now, that for granted notion is something we need to move away from and start to see in a tree possible development possibilities that could be explored in order for people to see that what you have around yourself could be the exact resources that you need, and not necessarily stuff that are to be imported. Now, in my region, prosopis trees are in plenty. Now, apart from the coal, development initiatives that are also not really owned by my people, but other people are coming to giving us, let's call it day jobs. You do that very unhealthy, risky kind of a job just for some pennies at the end of the day. What could we as Hardap people probably sit down and think through? We need to be a Hardap think tank, all of us. How could we turn around these things that we have for change and therefore impacting the lives of people? So therefore, education is for us very essential. We are absolutely lagging behind in terms of Hardap skills. We cannot claim and compete with Namibia in terms of knowledgeables in the pool of those that have got different or variety of knowledge in order to contribute towards the discourse of development. So starting from primary school up to university levels, we have a challenge, and therefore we have decided upon different ways as to how we could get our people educated to become players in self-development and, of course, development of the country and the region at large. That is a reality that is confronting us in the region at this point in time. Apart from the consecutive drought that we had for about 45 years, we also had this COVID-19 that dawned on us, and therefore, as far as livestock is concerned, our kraals are empty. Now, what the government is doing needs some other players to assist the government in getting people to get back to farming in terms of animal husbandry. Now, the government from the Ministry of Agriculture has already standing programs where seeds are being provided and also poultry to some individuals and or families are being provided. But again, last year we have also given animals to some of the families. Now, money is not enough for everyone to be assisted by the government alone, and therefore on our own we have started to speaking to different, let's call them investors, that could assist us in getting the restocking happen in our region. At this point in time, the discussions are ongoing. I do not want to put the horse before the cart as yet, but there are possibilities from some donors and investors that could be a possibility that we should investigate. At this point in time, it would be premature for me to be very exact as to this is the number of animals we anticipate that families should be given, or let's say farmers that went out of stock should be given. But we believe that a sizable number of animals with the view to rotate them after a certain period so that others could also benefit is actually the model that we have in mind. And it seems like there is a buy-in. But with investors, they are very sensitive to things out there. So at this point in time, let me say it's a discussion that is ongoing, and we remain positive that we could assist or we'll be able to assist our farmers to get a run in terms of animal husbandry.